So, hi everyone, I'm Jordan Calandre, working on the University of La Rochelle. So I'm French, and you can see that with my amazing English accent. Uh, so, the goal of this task, like Pierre-Etienne present, was to annotate the video to help coaches and sportsmen for any as much as possible. And for that, we want to be able to annotate any strokes with a real-life environment, so without any complete suite with tracking, without a depth map, anything. So the single sport dataset was also more hard than many of the strokes. For example, you probably know the UCF 101 dataset. It's a dataset with 100 classes of different sports. And with one sequence, you have to detect what sport it belongs to. But with this kind of data set, you can, for example, analyze many other things than just the video. For example, if there is a green glass at the background of the video, it's probably more football than tennis table. So you can add more information than just the movement. And in the MIA laboratory, for our approach, we decided to use a sparse approach to try to compress from any video as much information as possible, using the optical flow parameters, and we use what we call a singularity. So, what is a singularity? The optical flow is a difference between two frames and can represent the movement. So it's a b-variable vector field. So if I move my hand, the arrow on the vector field will be pointing up. What we want to do is to analyze locally the optical flow to try to extract areas with high rotation, like centers, or high divergence. If two areas are moving in different positions, the intersection of this area can also be a singularity. So to do that, we extract locally the optical flow and project it on a Legendre basis to analyze the coefficient of the optical flow. We need a really dense flow because we don't want any empty area on the optical flow. So we used a recent neural network called the PWC network, which is, like you see at the right, a really clean flow. So you have really clean boundaries, and the inside of the object is full. The color in this image represents the orientation of the movement. So if it's moving to the top area, it's more blue, and to the bottom it's yellow, I think. So between two frames, we use the PWC network to calculate the optical flow, and then we did our projection to analyze in which area we can detect any singularities. To increase our feature extraction, we also add the position of the singularity, so pixel-wise position. We cut the images in 4 grid and calculate how many singularities were on each region. And we also use a HOG, histogram of gradients, but not on the full image, only on these singularity areas. So we result in 6 clusters. So the cluster were the different types of singularities. And for the position and HOG, we use K-means, so bag-of-words approach. For each stroke, we have a lot of frames. So we stack them over the whole sequence and counted how many of each area were in the sequence. And we had 18 bins histogram, so 6 for the histogram of gradients, 6 for the singularities, and 4 for the positions. We did a few tries on the train set, and we had a lot of problems because we had a lot of overfit. So I use a grid search with cross-validation to try the optimal number of parameters. And for example, in the RBF or polynomial SVM, we didn't have any good results at all, so we only used the linear SVM. So we did 4 runs. The first one was just to try if the singularity have any meanings. So we used only the projection coefficient of the singularity. And for the other runs, we used other features, for example, the position, and the position plus the histogram of gradients. The split between train and test set on this stroke were not exactly the same. Some strokes were more frequent in the train set than the test set, or the opposite. So in one try, we test a balanced SVM, which was giving penalties to the most common classes, strokes, to increase the recall of the rare ones. We only had 16% on the best results, so it's not amazing. But for example, if we are looking for the difference between forehands and backhands, we have 61%. So it's not amazing, but we see that we also learned something. Ooh, yeah, you don't see anything. I have a problem with singularities, which is if you have your anything in your hand and are moving, for example, my phone, you see a rotation on my phone. But if your camera angle change, you don't see any rotation. So the singularities are great to analyze really close data set where you have only the same viewpoint every time. But where you are changing viewpoints, etc., you have the coefficient of the singularities that are changing. So it's not robust enough. The video also had lots of obstacles and viewpoints, and I will show this on the next slide. For the future works, you see previously that for each frame we choose the singularities and we stack them on the whole sequence, but we didn't take into account the temporal information. And if you take only one image, you can't know in which sequence it belongs to. Even knowing the whole sequence, it's difficult for experts to determine what stroke it belongs to. So stacking them without taking into account the temporal information is not enough. So we want to try to detect singularities over time. You don't see anything in this, but you have the end of a player and different singularities, and we will try to track them over time. So create some kinds of threads and create a movement signature in it. So what problem did we encounter in the dataset? The singularity are analyzing the different coefficients we are using, but we only had the first and last frames of every sequence, and we had no information of the left or right-handed players. So the coefficient of our singularities were opposite. And we also had no information on the grip types the people were using. And we would like to try on with more metadata, because we really think this is a problem in our approach. For the acquisition conditions, we also had problems. We wanted to create some kind of 3D planes, try to analyze the distance from the player to the table, and detect the table, but sometimes the balls were completely in a box on the table. Sometimes more than one people were on the video, so if we are doing our singularities or optical flow, we have two people detected, and we don't know always each one is playing. And the viewpoints in each video was completely different. Sometimes completely at the top of the table, sometimes really in front, so in a huge viewpoint. And our approach was not robust enough to achieve good results. Thank you for listening. If you have any question, let's go.